pray evening prayer upstairs, we can be home by 8:05.
I'm just saying. Sounds like a challenge. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming back. Have we prayed yet?
Name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. God, I thank you, we praise you, we love you, we need you. In the most particular way, we ask you to pour out your grace upon all here present, awaken within us our inner dignity, the plan you have prepared for us, and the extraordinary graces that await us and blessings. Let's pray together for the sick, the less fortunate, those in real trouble, spiritually, morally, those who will die today. And for an ever greater desire to be with Christ in prayer as we say, Hail Mary,
full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Saint Mark,
Pray for us.
in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming back. You weren't here last week if you don't remember. My name's Kevin Gregus. I guess I never really introduced myself in the very beginning. I grew up in St. Thomas. Went here since I was very young. You know Mike and Joelle and Gregus. Those are my parents. I brought with me today Mr. Thomas Leah.
Yes, last second I decided to hop on.
He's a fellow pre-theologian studying with me for the Archdiocese of Chicago. So we'll be able to add some good insights as we go along. So this is the third session that we've done the last session. So I guess what I really want to focus on here is one, to answer any questions that you have, any challenges you've seen, graces, any sort of from your week of hopefully doing the Liturgy of the Hours, and then at the end really talk about where can you go from here, where can St. Thomas go from here, how can we find a way to pray this together. I don't know, it was one or two people afterwards, after we prayed last week together, at the end last week, kind of had said, wow, praying together, I really like this a lot more than praying alone. Well, there's a reason for that. This is meant to be prayed in community. That's the way it always was, that's the way it always will be. It's meant to be prayed in community. You can pray it on your own, and that is a great thing, that you can pray it on your own. And sometimes you have to. There's times where you're running around, you can't pray with someone else, you pray on your own. It's still great. But it is meant to be prayed in community. So would really love it if we could find a time, whether it's before or after Masses, on the weekdays, on the weekends, to find a time to really do this in community. And hopefully from this kind of, you guys are the core section. Father Cody has said it a few times. You guys are the core section, and we grow up from there. So we'll wrap that up at the end. So first of all, any questions for the week? Any things you ran across? Yes.
One quick one.
Yeah.
And I only realized this after I bought a book and started looking at it. And I kind of asked Father Koenig, but because of the phone, I'm going to you with this question.
Yeah.
So, like, today's the Feast of St. Mark.
Yes.
And in the book, there's a whole section that you can do if you want to celebrate St. Mark.
Right.
Is the same thing
So
online or not?
yeah. So
Because I didn't find it.
So the phone is going to default automatically to St. Mark. You don't have another option. So if you look on your phone and you hit today, it should pop up there, Feast of St. Mark.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was sort of getting at last week, is the Liturgy of the Hours really follows a liturgical year. Perfect. It follows a liturgical year, and there's certain, as Father called it, progressive solemnity. There's certain days that are higher than others. Mark, as an evangelist, gets a feast day. And so as a feast day, it basically trumps a lot of other things. So today would be the Wednesday of the fourth week of Easter. A feast day gets priority over that. So we would do, so today we celebrate the feast day of St. Mark. It gets that. So for example, on tomorrow, we'll do Saturday. Saturday is the optional memorial for St. Louis de Montfort. If you guys know who St. Louis de Montfort is, great came with a great Marian devotion, 33 days and stuff like that. That's what's called an optional memorial. So if you wanted to, you could go to his his section in the breviary are kind of swipe over, like, to show you how you swipe over on your phone to do the one for St. Louis de Montfort, but because it's an optional memorial, it's kind of the lowest of the saints' rankings. Nothing against Louis de Montfort, the church kind of, there's a ranking. I mean, there's an evangelist and there's, St. Louis de Montfort, and it's, I feel bad. I'm sorry, St. Louis. You'd think sometimes saints should be higher, and they're not. But if you have a special devotion, I use the memorials, especially if you have a special devotion to a certain saint. For example, I've used this before, St. Therese of Lisieux. She's not an optional memorial, but it's a regular memorial. Not a feast day, so it wouldn't trump the day, but it's an option that you can do. So if you want to do it in a special way to celebrate the memorial of St. Therese of Lisieux, you would pray that. And on your phone, if you wanted, well, it's kind of hard to explain today because there's not an option. But if you went over and you go through, you open up your phone, you go to the app. Sorry, I didn't put this on the cheat sheet that I handed out. Make sure everyone grabs one of those if you want one, by the way. A few cheat sheets we brought along today. So if you hit pray and then you hit breviary, and so you're on your list, you see office of readings, morning prayer. Sometimes up at the top of that screen, or maybe on the Android it's the bottom, I'm not sure.
Android's different.
Okay, but the Android will also still be on the top. Okay? If you have options, you can actually slide back and forth with your finger to choose those options. Okay? So if it's for a memorial, you can choose those options. That's how you can do it on your phone.
Oh, from the regular day.
From the regular day. Now,
to the memorial.
Right. So on a feast, today's a feast day. There's not an option.
As opposed to the book where I had to go find it.
Right. So the book is
it automatically just went.
Correct. Yeah. That's the nice thing about the app. The app automatically does it for you. Now, I brought this along. This is called the Ordo, and this, if you were to use the book. There's also a small white book. I think a few of you have it. It's your cheat guide of telling you exactly what each thing is. So you go to today on 25th of Wednesday, the 25th Wednesday of April. That doesn't make any sense. The 25th of April, which is a Wednesday. There we go. St. Mark Evangelist feast day, and then this is actually, it tells you this one is for the Mass and the Liturgy of the Hours. It'll tell you, well, the priest is wearing red today. Did Father wear red today?
Yes.
Good.
You did.
We have conflicting opinions.
No, it should be right. I was sleeping, I don't know. Anyone at the 6:30 Mass?
Yes. You were right.
Okay.
You were right.
You wore red. So we wore red. It tells you all the readings for the Mass. It'll even give you some pastoral notes. So there's the blessing of fields and flocks today. This one tells you, this one's a little bit overkill. Probably unless you're a priest, you probably don't need to be looking at the Ordo, this specific order. But this kind of tells you, if you want to get this, there's also the small white guide. I don't have the small white guide. Anyway, there's a small white booklet that you can get online. Again, it lays out everything for you, exactly what each day is.
Okay, so on this here, it has St. Mark, and you can hit it, and it goes right to a screen.
Yes.
Right, okay, so like on any other day when it's not a feast day,
Yeah,
will the saint be down there too?
It won't be down there, but you'll actually see like two small circles at the bottom, and one might be darker than the other. And if you swipe there, there's two little circles kind of tell you, hey, there's two options. And if you swipe right on whatever word it is, say like the 26th Sunday of Ordinary, or not Sunday, but Monday of Ordinary Time, swipe that over, and it would show you. Those two little circles basically tell you, hey, there's options.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish I could show you today the downside of the app is that it's only the day.
Yeah.
It's only the day. So
Okay.
you will see it. You will when the time comes. I guess when's the next?
St. Joseph the Worker.
St. Joseph the Worker will be May 1st. I think it's just a memorial. St. Joseph. The regular, the one in March, that one's a celebrity. So yeah, so for example, back to the Saint. So if St. Mark somehow fell during Holy Week, if this somehow fell during Holy Week, well, Holy Week takes precedence over St. Mark's feast day. So then we'd be doing Holy Week. So for example, the Annunciation, the Annunciation this year happened to be on the same date as Palm Sunday. They're both solemnities, but Palm Sunday takes precedence, so it bumps the Annunciation all the way until after the octave of Easter. So it's, again, it's this the idea of this hierarchy, and I was talking last week about, you know, you do the big things right, and then everything falls into place afterwards. So
I just want to say, Kevin, your question demonstrates competence, and you have both the book and the computer. For everybody else, I would almost love to give you a 6-month hiatus. Just do what's in front of you, and don't chase the saints. Now, that's just a general rule. If you can find them, find them.
yeah,
But if you get this in 6 months, you'll be able to find all your saints.
yeah,
I want you, the habit is what has to be ingrained in you. It's the repetition and the getting the habit,
Yeah.
then you'll find your saints.
yeah, and again, the nice thing about the app, the saints that are really important, it will be automatic. St. Mark will be, for today, automatic. St. Peter and Paul, automatic, stuff like that. Yes.
Okay, so, I don't want to drag the whole class back, but I generally discipline. I come early for Mass, I do morning prayer, and I can always lock out time to do night prayer. When I go through the general before Tuesday evening, the Psalms are laid out for morning, mid-morning, midday, evening, and then nothing. There's no night prayer. Where do I?
The night prayer is in there, you can find it. It's in, it'll be after the Psalter and before the Common of Saints. I'll find it for you, yeah, it's a small section in there.
readings are slightly different than these.
There's a small section in there.
It's always the same.
It's always the same, it'll be a small section in there because it's always the same. Night prayer, you've been doing night prayer, you'll notice that it's the same. Monday's always the same, Tuesday's always the same, Wednesday always the same.
Okay. So it's like, I was trying to.
Yeah, so
Night
yeah,
prayer session.
you find it in there and it just, again, repeats. It repeats.
Could you repeat the history again of why the priests do it and why the deacons are required to do it? You started that first. Like
So the idea of we've been praying this for, this was a Jewish tradition of praying the Psalms at set hours.
okay.
And the apostles just naturally carried that in to their, you know, as they're going. We're going to celebrate the Mass, and we're also going to get together as a community and pray Psalms at set times. And they did that for as long as it took to get up to St. Benedict. And as Rome is collapsing around him, and in this morally ambiguous, terrible collapse of society, he pulls away to Monte Cassino and founds this order. People come to him, and he is the one who formalizes this praying in community where you get together, you pray the Psalms, you add in readings, you add in all this stuff, and this idea of kind of back and forth, doing it again, continuing to do it as a community, but the formalized thing starts with St. Benedict, and it comes along. There's several changes along the way. I mean, not major changes, but kind of to streamline it. As far as when priests and religious were required to do it, I honestly couldn't tell you when that started. But the key is that it's the church's prayer that we as the body of Christ pray on behalf of the church to God. He gave it to us. He gave us all the Psalms, all the readings. There's nothing in here that's made up by man. All from God, and we pray back. We pray it to Him. So it's just a promise of formalized prayer that priests and deacons, a promise they take.
I mean, I am learning with you guys because I'm not very, I'm picking this stuff up too. But one of the things I thought was interesting, you might have already covered it, but I think these are the Psalms that we pray are the same ones that Jesus would have prayed. So when he was going through the Psalms and they're talking about, trying to think of an example, darkness surrounds me and, my only friend is darkness or whatever. So when Jesus is reading all this, it's actually, I think he's coming to realize, I can't speak on his behalf, but this is him that it's speaking about, So I think in a similar way, when we read this, we can kind of understand that, we're praying with Jesus, and we can kind of understand that, this is what he would have had to read through, this is what he would have, prayed with, so. That's just an interesting twist on it, I think.
Yeah, and the Holy Family together would have prayed the Psalms.
Yeah.
The apostles together prayed the Psalms. It's not something that they decided at Second Vatican Council. Oh, let's have these priests. Let's put this together. We'll have the priests pray this. No, there's a lot of great history.
And as you pray them, and again, I say this with tremendous joy. If you're praying alone, you said it in community, of course, but most of us are praying these alone. Pause and meditate and reflect. And this word means this. And hey, what about that child I lost? What about that kid who's having trouble? What about my wife, my husband? I mean, there's so many beautiful personal reflections and personal prayer that fits hand in glove into this structure. When people tell me they pray all the time, who don't pray some of the time, I want to call them liars. If you don't pray some of the time, you can't pray all the time. So this is a structural basis, as Kevin so well said, in union with the whole church. When we're in Haiti, we say Mass. It's so profound. When you say the breviary, wherever you are, people somewhere are praying with you the same exact words. And I think that is just so collectively powerful that I'm not alone. I'm never alone in my prayer.
So this is from, I pulled this from one of JP2's, I believe it was one of his audiences that he gave. He gave a few audiences about Liturgy of the Hours. It might have been a letter too, I'm not sure where I pulled it from. But in singing the Psalms, the Christian feels a sort of harmony between the Spirit present in the Scriptures and the Spirit who dwells within that Christian. He echoes those sighs too deep for words. The idea of echoes the sighs too deep for words. The Psalms are gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're words that I certainly couldn't have come up with. Maybe some great writer maybe could come up with one of them. But the Psalms were given to us by put our feelings into words. And if you pray for the full 4 weeks, you'll go through all the Psalms, like I said, except for 3 super angry ones apparently. That they got pulled out of Vatican II. That's another here or there. But you'll go across the full range of emotions. Great psalms of praise, psalms of peace. You guys have heard Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, he'll lead me by green pastures. The one that Tom mentioned, Psalm 88, is, my one companion is darkness, all my friends have left me. There's the psalm there's the one you'll pray for Sunday night prayer is about, he lifts me up in eagle's wings, and lest I strike my foot against a stone, angels will catch me. It's these beautiful psalms of praise, songs of lament, songs of thanksgiving. You'll go through the whole thing. It puts into words what sometimes is difficult. And you'll read one, you'll be like, wow, that's exactly how I'm feeling. And it might be totally different another time. You're like, I don't feel that, but someone else in the church is feeling that. Someone else many other people in the church are feeling that. Yeah, the Psalms are really gorgeous. I brought this, one of our priests, Father, a great holy man, Father Larry Hennessy, recommended this. If you really like the Psalms, these are called the Revised Grail Psalms. So when they do a revision for Liturgy of the Hours and update the translation, these are the Psalms they'll actually use. And Father told us is that this is a translation that's a little more loyal, or what's the word I'm looking for? Faithful, thank you, to the Hebrew original Psalms. So if it's called the, was put out by Conception Abbey down in, I think that's in Missouri or Kansas. So if you find yourself in the Psalms, you want to pray with the Psalms, you can go to our adoration chapel. You're like praying with the Psalms. I brought this along, a little recommendation. You can check it out if you'd like. Any other questions?
Mine allows me to download the week.
Does it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
because I told somebody who was leaving the country, and like, you need to pray the breviary, and it's really easy, quote unquote easy, but because she wasn't going to be able to access the internet where she was going, and you can like download the week if you do travel.
Okay.
I never used that, but.
I've not used that either. So it looks like that is an option. I think I put in there it might not be an option, but it.
Well, on the iPhone, you press the 3 little tablet,
Okay.
and then it comes up and you can either it lists all the days of the week, and then it has a thing, download the week.
There you go. All right. So we've learned something new. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So looks like contrary to what is in one of the guides, you can download things for the week. You can if you want to, if you're going somewhere, you know, you'll be out of the country, camping, somewhere where you won't have cell service. You can download them and no excuse for not praying.
And then it also gives you the readings for the Mass in there too.
Yeah, like I said, that app, check it out. All the readings for the Mass, there's a bunch of, you know, traditional prayers, litanies, tons of stuff. You can look through the whole missal. There's really a lot of cool stuff in that app.
So let me just interject. So Michael was talking about praying morning prayer before Mass. I don't have that many more great suggestions, but if I wake up in the morning, I pray my rosary, and I make the coffee, I sit in the house chapel, and I do the office of reading, invitatory, the office of readings, and morning prayer. I read the gospel of the day, sometimes the first reading, not always, I should. I read the gospel, the parahomily. That's basically the pre-spirituality before 6:30 Mass. So I'm just saying, that's not a bad bar to try to get up to. And if you want to pass me, it's possible. I mean, I know they're a lot much older than me. Yeah, make 2 homilies. But I'm just saying, that's a good structure to try to get up to. You know what I mean? Rosary, I mean, we all know the value of the rosary. The breviary, and you brought up the reading of the day, the liturgical readings of the day. When my non-Christian friends, non-Catholic friends, they read the Bible. Great. Read the gospel for me today. Because you want to stay in the church's liturgical calendar. So read what she gives you. If you can do this, if you're willing to accept this mission. Now, if you get to church early and you go in the chapel and do it, Adoration Chapel, you are rocking. I'm just going to put one more chair. So that's my final answer. I really can't offer you more than that, than regular confessions and more honest confessions, and talk to your priest while you're in confession about something that might be troubling you or something that might be a particular predominant fault. The only thing I can put on top of that is when we were in Paris, which Leo didn't go, you should have went, Leo. The French sisters at Sacré-Cœur, which have that perpetual adoration, they sang in French daytime prayer. It's on video somewhere. I mean, I'm sure it's on YouTube. They recorded it. It's unbelievable. To hear them singing in choir, back and forth, with adoration, you're like, I think I'm already in heaven.
Yeah, on feast days and solemnities and Sundays, we sing morning prayer together and on the line. And it's a high solemnity, like Immaculate Conception, which is our summer last week. It's the patroness of the seminary, and we chant a lot of it. And it is there's something about when you chant it, it's kind of like almost like this. You feel this is how it was meant to be. It kind of lifts you up. Everyone kind of like just that scene together, just it lifts it up to a whole new level.
I don't know who coined this phrase. We all have an inner monk. You all know my outer loudmouth guy. We all have an inner, we have an inner monk in us. And this, of all the things the priest or whoever can give you, this is one of the best helps to get in touch with that inner monk. That inner person of reflection and meditation and focused, concentrated, receptivity to the Lord and His gifts. And you're moving quickly. You had a question.
I'm trying to connect my past with what I'm learning here today. And I was at Holy Name Cathedral in the afternoon around noon in Chicago. There was something going on. It wasn't a mass. Would it have been this?
Very possible.
Most likely.
Very possible.
And it appears they do it every day.
Oh yeah, no. There's some parishes that they do every day. I know, like at St. Peter's in the Loop. I would assume the friars there pray morning and evening at least, maybe night together where the public can join in.
Yeah.
I think ideally, what I would love for St. Thomas would be people walking into like 4:30 Mass on Saturday or 5:30 Mass on Sunday, and there's a group praying together evening prayer, and people being like, what's that? Check it out. Because a lot of people just don't even know about this. They don't. There's something, and as you discovered already, there's something beautiful about it. There really is something that's kind of, transcendent, but also do it as a community. So it's real. It's this, again, like the liturgy. It brings the two together. It's really great. So.
My dad knew about this. My dad went to Weber High School,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Dad, have you ever heard of this? He's like, yeah. He said the priest. In fact, I think I told you guys the story, but they would have bingo nights, and the priest had to be at the bingo night. And if he didn't get it done for the day, he's walking the hallways doing it, just to be continue to be the chaperone.
Right, right.
With it, you know, so yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, and I'm like, how come I never heard about this?
The stories we heard, I don't know if you heard these stories, the priest would pull over on the side of the road and use the headlamp. Because remember, we were taught if you're a priest and you miss morning or evening prayer knowingly and willingly, it's a mortal sin.
Right.
So they would stop the car and get out, the priests.
Yeah.
There was a lot of alcohol back then too. But they would go to the front and read off the carbine. Because that's the only light they had. They didn't have interior lights back then. They would read off the carbine. It's true.
We got cell phones, so we're. Can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. So, yeah, I mean, the community and that you bring it in. There's people see it and wonder what it is, go up, and I guess be ready to explain it. That if eventually that happens, and eventually there's people coming up and asking, what's going on? Well, we're praying the evening prayer. Join us.
How can we get something like that set up?
I would love to. I mean, if I'm unfortunately I can help organize it right here. I can't unfortunately direct it because I'm.
I need
Right
Karen or Kevin or Allison.
It just if one of you can spirit it, start a text group, start a email group. Just start like, hey, 4:15 on Saturdays. I know if it's tough. I don't know if the choirs here practicing before masses or something like that. A time before masses, even if it's not in front of a mass, just once a week to get together and pray in community. Because that communal prayer kind of helps give a lot of life, kind of like just like the mass gives a lot of lifeblood for the week, and then eventually, and as I've said, as Father Koenig has said, don't let this overwhelm you. Don't try to do too much too quickly. Really start building on it. Morning prayer, evening prayer. The community will help. The community, it's meant to be prayed in community. So when we can, let's try it. So yeah, I would love that if one of you would be able to do that. Yes.
I thought you told us to just go to Psalm 95.
Invitatory.
So that's just for the invitatory. Okay, so I guess let me.
Do we do like the 24, 67?
Don't worry about those. Nope,
Stop.
skip right over those.
Too much.
We won't use the. If after, as Father said, after 6 months, if you want to try out a different psalm instead of Psalm 95, absolutely.
Right.
24.
95 doesn't have anything to do with the Easter season.
Nope, 95 is said as the invitatory all year round.
I've done it for 24 years. It should be good enough for you.
Yeah.
They incorporate the other.
Every day.
Huh?
If you keep doing 95, they'll incorporate the other songs.
Yeah. So 95 is not, the thing about 95 is only done for the invitatory. The other 3 psalms you'll see
Other
in
places.
morning prayer and probably just morning prayer. Maybe a few other ones, but you will see those pop back up. 95 you won't. So just a quick over a few of the handouts that I brought if you'd like to take them. One is going over a few general things and then how to pray it in community. And I will say this is how I've always prayed in the community. You might run into someone someday that does it a little bit differently. Some communities choose different ways to do it, and that's fine. There's some things you can kind of play around with in terms of how you do it in community. But I've broken it down in terms of a prayer leader, in terms of a reader, side 1, side 2. So go through that. We'll do it again to end here tonight. So you have one more practice or time praying it in community. The prayer leader by no means has to be a priest. By no means, if there's not a priest there, it's not like, oh, we can't do morning prayer or evening prayer. Choose from someone from among you. Like I said, like Stephen was elected 7 reputable men, women. Select someone to be the leader. Select someone to read, and you're off.
One practical invitation, if you have Light of the World small groups, I would love to be invited to your small groups, if you're in one, and we would try to introduce the Liturgy of the Hours to your small group.
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah. There should be, looks like there's some, take more than one. If you want to pass this out, have it for your small group, take it. I can also send you guys these digital files, so if you talk with Allison, I can I can pass those through Allison. So there's that one. The other one, one of the three, second of the three, is just a guide of how to use the iBreviary app. It's just very simple things. How to open it, how to download the day, how to access the prayers, a little information on the invitatory and how to, just on the phone, just scroll through those songs that you don't need, hit the button here, and whatnot. So there's just kind of some simple instructions and some screenshots of using the actual app. And the last thing I brought was 2 Marian antiphons. So night prayer is traditionally ended with a Marian antiphon. There's 4 of them. They each coincide with the season. Right now we're in the Easter season, so we sing the Regina Caeli, gorgeous Marian antiphon. The one you'll hear mostly through the year, through ordinary time, is the Salve Regina, which if you've ever prayed the Hail Holy Queen, it's that prayer, and this is in Latin. There's also one for Advent and one for Lent. I have 2 other, the Salve Regina and the Regina Caeli. So I think one thing I'd like to try is for our hymn tonight, do the Regina Caeli. Just to practice. Again, the night prayer is something that I think would be great to pray with your families, pray in community, pray with spouses together. And if you're comfortable singing, here's this. I know it might look intimidating. You have what on here is called chant notation. It looks intimidating, especially if you're not comfortable reading music. I would really recommend going on YouTube or Spotify and just searching for one of these songs, and you'll hear them sing the simple tunes, and you can kind of figure out. So sometimes it's a lot easier to hear instead of say. But these are really gorgeous antiphons. One thing, I went to the Focus SLS conference this past January. Tom was there too. We ended each Mass with the St. Michael prayer, and then we all sang together the Salve Regina, and then the processional out. So we all sang together. So you had probably 9,000 people, mostly young people and college students, all singing this Salve Regina together. It was beautiful, and the chill, this goosebumps definitely. It was really beautiful. It's something that we used to. I mean, Father Kodik now will end with a Ave Maria. Just some way to honor our Blessed Mother.
Before we put the priest's body in the coffin, seriously, that's either the coffin or at the last thing at Mass. Tomorrow we have a priest who died. We'll go to a funeral for Father Monsignor Bales, and the bishop will say, will all the priests now honor him with our traditional song? It'll be the Salve Regina.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous song. Like I said, for today, we'll do the Regina Caeli. I'm not sure how many people know it, so it kind of I do your best. I'll be loud so you can hear how it goes. Sorry for my singing voice. I'll apologize for it. So we can just so you can hear it and start incorporating this if you'd like these antiphons. I brought them because they've personally meant a lot to me. This singing together with my men's group in Chicago and now at the seminary, it's really an incredible way to end each day. It's really beautiful. So those 3 things. All right, what time we got? All right, 7:40.
So I guess before thanking you, thank you for being here. You got my number. You know how to find me. And if you keep this going, we're going to try this again when school starts in September, August, September. And hopefully you're still doing it. Hopefully you bring a couple people along with you. And hopefully, as he says, this prayerful revolution goes forward. It's in your hearts. It's in your hands. So I do pray you stay with this, and this will change your life. This is going to answer your personal prayer and just connect you that much more with the heart of Christ. So.
Yeah. Any last questions? All right, Tom. Any thoughts on liturgy hours just in your personal life?
I think just kind of randomly, I was walking around yesterday. I don't remember who I was talking to, but yeah, the one thing that I can kind of remember. But I was just thinking, there's I think one prayer that seems to have stuck with the church the whole time, and it's the breviary. And so I guess God the Father, he wanted to hear this prayer millions of times, so I think it's hard for me to understand it when I'm reading through it, you know, it's, you know, the whole darkness thing. A lot of the times I don't really necessarily like get it, you know? But I think that, but I just kind of remember just thinking the other day that if God the Father, you know, gives us this book and then almost binds priests by like, you know, it's potentially a sin to not, you know, to not do it. I kind of see the value of, you know, such a prayer that God would want to hear it over and over and over and over again for thousands of years, you know, so I think that was kind of beautiful, just to think of it from God's perspective, it must, you know, just must be incredibly beautiful for him to hear.
I have a great prophecy for you two men, which some women I'm sure could share with me in this very moment. After being a priest just one full year, you will no longer find it incompatible, those dark songs.
Yeah.
After confession and deathbed, you'll be like, gotcha, Lord, got it, there you go. I did that marriage counseling thing, I got this one. It's true. If you're a grandma, you got it, you understand. Anyway.
All right, so I would really
Thank you.
sincerely thank everyone for coming. It was a joy to be with you. Thank you. As far as stick with this. This is an incredible prayer. It's the official prayer of the church. No better reason to pray than that. All right, so we're going to go up as we normally did. Try to split up side one.